Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, what got them to where they are now, which is an opposition group, definitely won't get them to where they want to be, which is a seated position, either in Congress, either in Senate, or in any form of government. The reason why they are the opposition and minority in the recent election is precisely because there's something fundamentally wrong with their political strategy. And we on side opposition believe that the best way to be able to understand what they did right so they can continue it, and at the same time unlock what they could have improved upon, is at the point in which we actively criticize them. And it's in the interest of the Liberal Party, who do largely support these opposition groups, that happen. I have a couple of responses to side government thus far. Number one, PM, in their speech, talks about wanting to win and gain support from the leftist Progressive Party. We agree with this, and we challenge the lens of this political strategy. In fact, the sitting incumbents, who are largely conservative, are sitting there precisely because the left-leaning progressive opposition have failed and lost the election. A huge reason as to why the Lenny administration lost in the recent election is because the leftist group did nothing but circle jerk her and their party with all the pink bullshit, which to a large extent has a lot of room for improvement and growth in terms of messaging and communication and empathy for majority of Filipinos. Hence, in order to truly give them a shot at seats, we need to call them out on their shortcomings and praise them for what they did well in order for them to have a chance at the seat. Second, PM talks a lot about positive reinforcement absent criticism. The thing is, it's precisely because of the conservative majority having a lot of clout and capacity to do things like historical revisionism and running these troll farms, dissent and criticism, especially from those who claim to support you from both sides as well, need to be important. This is precisely because we do not want the leftist minority and opposition group to become more radicalized, make decisions solely based on cults of personality, and drink the pink Kool-Aid for the reason that they believed it was true and good. Even at its worst, if we lose support, we are able to weed out those with a misconstrued understanding of what it means to be left and an opposition party, bolstering their true agency and capacity to make decisions at their own. Thirdly, at best, government side creates an illusion of effectiveness and unity, wherein the reality is that what got them to being an opposition party won't necessarily get them to where they want to be, which is a seat in Congress, a seat in Senate, or other forms of positions. At worst, it's a broken strategy. At best, it's a useless one where you stifle discourse. What is my extension? Responses to DEP will be integrated. 3 things coming from my speech. Why is public discourse good, and how can this only happen through active criticism? Number 2, how exactly do political ideologies develop, and how do we de-radicalize both sides? And thirdly, what is the path to victory to be able to win seats for the opposition party, for them not to be the minority opposition and have a chance at being the ruling incumbent? Let's talk about the first, right? And this is somewhat a direct response against the material Andy gave about losing out the very people who are vocal or not vocal. It's precisely the point in which we want to shatter their worldview and tell them that your candidate who you love and are willing to die for is imperfect. There are things they did well, we're willing to give praise to that, but definitely there are a lot of other things that they can improve upon in order to be more palatable. And an example of this criticism to the opposition party or of Lenny is that a lot of what they say is often used against them, wherein being so left-leaning, progressive, and liberal becomes far from it, to the point that they aren't at all empathetic or listening to the centrist, populist, or conservative right, who, by the way, does exist, right? Even in the Philippine landscape, outside fucking debate land, not everyone is this foaming in the mouth woke individual. So, the point in which we have active criticism is the point in which you're able to allow these people to make those decisions for themselves, and even if they get pissed off or they leave the party and may lose that support, it bolsters their true agency and decision to make that when it becomes more informed, when they become more aware of the reality. Second, how do political ideologies develop? And why exactly does this de-radicalize both sides? It's precisely because of cults of personality that I mentioned in my pre-oration and rebuttal. A lot of these things are very emotionally charged and largely dictated by reputation. Through political dynasties, through reputation of their spouse or whoever, a lot of people develop certain biases and heuristics and start latching onto these ideologies. That is exactly the point in which both sides largely become very polarized and think that, oh, yay, we're doing this, it's absolute, it's good, and their political compass per social issue and worldview becomes static and becomes monolithic. We're able to cast a sense of doubt when we're able to crack that reality and tell them that, look, there are things you could have done better to be able to cater to these particular individuals without having to resort to dirty tactics like vote buying or gerrymandering, but by improving the argument and the message as opposed to shouting louder or saying the same thing. The third is exactly, what is our path to be able to get seats? It's very simple. Our path to be able to get seats is reevaluating the political strategy, and that can only happen when you have criticism. Yes, at our worst, we're saying that criticism can be like, can be politically charged and emotionally charged. And we think we support the full range of criticism. Criticism can be nuanced or unnuanced, it can be smart or not smart, it can be good or bad, but we think the full range of that is exactly what we need to do in order to shatter the veil of political apathy, in order to get people involved in the discussion. Because I posit that absent this dissent, it becomes counterintuitive to what it means to be a progressive, what it means to be a left-leaning group. That is to say, absent any form of dissent, when they stay silent or when they just say that what they're doing is completely fine by virtue of remaining silent, they become an accomplice, ladies and gentlemen, in the failure and shortcoming of those individuals and become an affront to what it really means to stand for plurality and what it really means to be a liberal on their side of the house. So, if you want a chance at seats, you don't want to contradict your party's values, and you want to be able to have a chance to improve the political landscape, we beg you to have this form of criticism, even if it's bad, even if it's scandalous. It's just better discourse. We are very proud to stand on side opposition.